Hey everyone. Now, this was a bit off plan, but I would like this video to serve as a nice stopgap for what's to come next. From the title, you may have implied that I am making a Goku scaling video. That is correct. I will indeed be making a Goku scaling video in similar fashion to my Sonic video. But, as I was planning and researching said video, I thought back to my last video, and then I said, what if they actually fought? Like, what if they dropped the hammer, went ham until one of them gets KO'd? Well, it would be very boring. This is due to discrepancies in major stats, which doesn't allow either of them to showcase their abilities and gifts to the maximum. Then, as the title of the video implies, I then hypothesized what the battle would look like if I equalized the playing field. So that would mean equal AP/power, speed, and durability. It results in a really hype and quite practical per se, fascinating matchup. Two absolute monoliths of their genres, namely anime and video games, who have constantly been compared loosely through their history. I mean, sometimes you do feel like they took inspiration from each other. Two protagonists who are loosely connected as free spirits, two incredibly powerful, fiction-busting characters. Now, despite what I've said, I will actually detail their power and speed, and briefly touch on the true matchup, just for anyone curious. If you'd like to skip this and go to the real equal stats battle, I will leave a timestamp to that in the description. Okay, I think I've said enough. Let's get straight to business and go over this matchup. Kicking off with Sonic the Hedgehog. My last video, of course, was on the blue blur, and I will reiterate what I said. He is cracked. This matchup will specifically use base form Sonic. I discounted Super Sonic for a reason of... I think that video says enough. There's no possible way I'd let him into this with how absolutely busted his abilities are. No way. Even leaving Super Sonic out, base Sonic is absolutely no joke. He outscales all of his Adventure era feats, including those of that era's Super Sonic, who defeated the Egg Salamander in Sonic Rush, where the Chaos Emeralds were stated to, alongside their counterpart Soul Emeralds, make up half the power needed to merge Sonic and Blaze's dimensions, which would have resulted in their mutual annihilation. This is a low multiversal feat on the scale of 2 universes. Modern outscales Adventure Super Sonic considerably, given the statements from numerous 06 guides and websites about Eggman having far more powerful mechs than ever before, and about Sonic being far more powerful himself. Therefore, these mechs, including Cerberus, Genesis, and Wyvern, are above the Super Egg Robot, true Area 53 boss, and, of course, Egg Salamander. Not only this, but Sonic also defeated Eraser Jin, who had absorbed half of the world of the Arabian Nights during their duel, and also controls the Night Palace dimension, which, in addition to its numerous statements of separation from the rest of the Arabian Nights, has a separate astral dimension with countless celestial bodies backgrounding it. Sonic also has extreme accelerated development, meaning he has far outscaled even this level, and he will easily one-shot anyone on the baseline for the 2-universe tier. He is also, fittingly, very fast. He started the modern era outscaling Advance's Supersonic's flight to non-aggression, which was calculated to 7.06 billion times the speed of light. Then, in Secret Rings, he reached infinite speed, traversing the infinite corridor of the Night Palace several times over. Moreover, in Generations, he jumped up incomprehensibly again to immeasurable speed, given his feat of running in white space being stated to accelerate through time in order to fix the damage done by the Time Eater. We can make this even more concrete as well. In Forces, Infinite sends Sonic to null space, a place sealed off from all dimensions, a place of nothingness created by the Phantom Ruby. Sonic is then not only seen running in it, but then using a double boost to run out of it. Base Sonic is honestly just insane. He is really on the border of what I would consider to threaten most of fiction in both power and speed. To extrapolate, numerous characters are universe busters. Few destroy 2 or more. Even fewer characters have time-breaking speed feats like Sonic does, and immeasurable speed allows you to run opponents through time, or just so far away that they could never possibly return, and he wins via battlefield removal. We also know that Sonic trains to become vastly stronger. I alluded to Sonic's accelerated development previously and also in my dedicated video, and this really results in him eclipsing the baseline for his tier of power and speed. The blue blur is no joke, and even having multi-stellar feats or being way faster than light won't ever let you scrap with someone like him. But Goku also gets vastly stronger over time as well. I mean, it's kind of his whole brand, making obscene training gains, even given modicums of time to train, or when pushed heavily in battle. I refer to the entire Tournament of Power. But even in Dragon Ball, like original Dragon Ball, he was on this obscene track of strength gains. From bullet tanking to outscaling Moonbusters, that would be roughly 8 septillion times stronger. This isn't even accounting for Goku's actual feats at the start of Dragon Ball, nor the manner of how much energy the moon-destroying feats of Dragon Ball produce. This is just from the baseline of Wall level to the baseline of Moon level. Yeah, 8 septillion times difference in fucking Dragon Ball. Oh wait, it gets better. This is the post-2010s. This is Dragon Ball Super Goku, who, by episode 9, becomes a Super Saiyan God and surpasses everything, I mean everything, Super Vegito did in Dragon Ball Z. Super Vegito, for the record, punched out a macrocosm-destroying attack called Outside Space, a massive Vice Shout which was going to collapse alternate dimensions onto Universe 7, annihilating it. Vegito then tells Buhan to concentrate that raw energy into his regular strikes, which he is implied to have done so. Yet, Vegito takes it all and bullies him even harder. You may be asking, Jay, what does this have to do with God Goku? Well, Goku said that Potara stood no chance against the suppressed Beerus. None, zilch, nada. Vegito wasn't even at full power in Z either. He easily could have gone Super Saiyan 2 or 3 if he needed to. Yet, Son decided that Vegito just wasn't a viable option. Quite fittingly, Super Saiyan God performs several feats of threatening all of Universe 7, and he actually has to control his area of effect, so specifically to not destroy all of it instantly. Uber casual. Now, a few of you may have clocked the specificity of my wording for these feats. Good spot, if so, because Goku isn't just threatening one universe with these feats, he is actually threatening 3. Yes, 3. The Dragon Ball macrocosm is very consistently separated into the living universe, the afterlife, and the realm of the Kais. You can't fly between these places. You need techniques like Kai or instant transmission to reach them. Even as fast as current DBS characters are, not once has any of them flown between these realms or even attempted to do so. So Goku starts Super at 3 universes worth of power. Goku then gets hundreds to thousands of times more powerful, then takes a huge leap up with Ultra Instinct Sign. At this point, Goku is considered highly relative, if not above, gods of destruction, who can annihilate 2 macrocosms at once if they fight each other. This would upscale Goku to 6 universes, yes, I said 6, and even if you consider him to not surpass Beerus, which is valid given the manga making him an ever-moving goalpost, he still would outclass most of the gods of destruction who this would apply to. Goku then gets even more powerful than this by magnitudes via Zenkais and the intensity of the Tournament of Power battles, before climaxing at Ultra Instinct, a Metamoran fusion level multiplier to this already obscene power he's obtained. He then defeats the mortal who surpassed the gods Jiren, even after Jiren broke his own limits to reach his own quasi-instinct form. Crazy. That's just it. It's absolutely crazy. when looking at speed, while nowhere near Sonic's peak level, the Super Saiyan is still extraordinarily fast. We have a pretty decent chunk of feats, including 2 Beerus feats to compare to from early Dragon Ball Super. The first feat of these is where Beerus, frustrated with Whis for taking so long, catches up to his mentor with his own speed at a distance comparable to that which is travelled with the staff. Whis' staff, at its high end, was able to cross the universe in 10 seconds once Beerus had detected the tastiest food ever. SSB Monado calculated that the globe of the Dragon Ball universe was roughly twice the size of our own, and thereafter AKM Sama followed up by calculating the aforementioned. It's important to note that Beerus' planet is in the universe itself, but it's actually further than the physical distance of the Kaioshin realm from the living universe. Somehow, Goku actually struggled to find a key signature to use instant transmission in Resurrection F. He was on Beerus' planet and he was trying to get to Earth. Moreover, neither he nor Vegeta even sensed Orange Piccolo or Gohan Beast in the battle with Cell Max. Therefore, using the universe map, we can show it to be further or equal to this distance. This leads to a result anywhere from 498 to 566 quadrillion times light speed. This is, of course, scaling, however. What about a feat Beerus performed himself? This feat has Beerus nullify an already detonating attack that was going to fully engulf Universe 7 in no time flat. This particular feat was calculated to be, at peak, 1.47 quintillion times the speed of light. These feats are just unfathomably beyond anything that most characters can even hope to touch, and usually when you're this fast, it's generally levels associated with infinite speed characters. However, Dragon Ball is not really explicit about crossing this bridge to infinite speed. However, there is some substance for infinite speed in late Dragon Ball Super. There is the suggestion that Jiren's speed would be above infinite Zamasu's, whose entire being engulfed Universe 7 and would have eventually spread even further across the local multiverse, though I would have to say this is definitely a technicality. Much more considerable, though, would be the World of Void, where characters, including Goku, start actually affecting the entirety of it with their power alone. The World of Void is stated to be infinite. Goku shakes all of it. Toppo, who is weaker than peak Goku, warps the entire realm as a byproduct of his Hakai, etc, etc, etc. Even if I discard this, based on how much stronger Son got through DBS, he would be unfathomably deep into the big numbers in terms of times light speed. Based on this scaling thread and how comparable Ultra Instinct is to Fusion, I would have to say it would be in the sextillions of times light speed, which is naturally stupid and goofy as hell. Either way, the summary of Goku's combat speed would be countless magnitudes beyond light, with possibly infinite combat speed. He most certainly does not have infinite travel speed, but infinite combat and reaction speed is something I am willing to accept. Either way, this all results in one terrifying character to fight, especially factoring in his raw attack potency. With the raw stats explained, I hope you can see the problems. Goku is unreachably above Sonic's power, but Sonic's speed is incomprehensible to Goku. This results in a really boring, stale matchup where neither get to show their abilities in full. It would kind of be like, say, a 6-universe low multiversal T-Rex with an orange gi versus a blue immeasurable speed B. The B cannot damage the T-Rex in any way, so uses its speed and surprising lifting strength to push it somewhere like white space, ending the fight via BFR, and the poor T-Rex can never come back. Therefore, the best course of action, in line with the video premise, is to equalize their stats across the board. Now they have equal power, speed, and durability. It's now all down to their stamina, abilities, and their overall combat skill to pull them through. transformations are a nil increase, and Goku will be in MUI anyway, though both can amplify their stats in other ways, such as rage power or natural abilities. The fight will also be assumed to be at massively faster than light plus speeds, fitting with both characters' usual fighting speed. Finally, the fight will take place in the Tournament of Power arena, so Goku won't just fly up away from Sonic, be unreachable, and spam air blasts. Also, just so they can't camp. With that, let's compare abilities. Overall, Sonic has better abilities than Son Goku. This shouldn't really surprise anyone who is deep into Dragon Ball, like me. A big reason for this is mostly because of Z, and not Dragon Ball Super, where Goku kind of just gained more transformations and was, for the most part, looking to just increase his own power level and not develop more abilities. That's not to say Goku wasn't developing, but it's abundantly clear that when you look at Z, there's a large gap in the middle for non-transformation related powers, mostly after the Namek arc. Despite me saying this, Goku is not lacking for powers, and he comes with a lot of good stuff. His ki is, naturally, the fundamental basis for all of Son's abilities. Good uses of this are Danmaku, or Bullet Storm basically, Extrasensory Perception, which is the fancy name for energy sensing, meaning Goku would never lose track of Sonic during this fight for a moment. Other kinds of energy projection besides Danmaku include Breath Attack, blast that Goku can control and move at will and detonate at will, shockwaves, and of course his strongest energy waves. Recently, in the Tournament of Power, Goku has become even more versatile with energy use on screen than ever. Land mines controlling a Kienzan mid-flight with Jiren, and this Keyball trap he used much earlier on. It's like visually one of my favourite things ever. What I'm about to say is going to sound a bit weird to some people, but his most powerful Ki blasts, i.e. the Kamehameha, are actually criminally underrated. It's been consistently shown that they massively bump up Goku's power output, and his versatility with such is pretty hard to ignore. Instant Kamehameha, for example, against Cell, as well as his recent fight with Kefla. An enraged Kefla was actually so powerful that she was going to instantly kill UI Sign Goku if even a single one of her blasts touch him. Yet, despite this seemingly insurmountable gulf between their power, his blast knocked her out the Tournament of Power and damaged her so badly she defused. This means if Goku gets even one clean shot, it could be very bad news. Oh yeah, I just mentioned Instant Transmission, a highly versatile ability that allows Son to instantly teleport somewhere else based on a key signature, and he can do this to specific locations within an opponent's vicinity too. It's not fixed next to them or a set distance away from them. Now, in my previous video, I considered Base Sonic's most remarkable ability to be accelerated development, as I mentioned earlier. Well, unfortunately, Goku has him pretty damn well rivaled. I mean, it's no secret either. I think most people are aware that Saiyan biology is busted as hell. It's not even just near-death experiences, which are kind of inapplicable here, or rage boosts. He can actually get better in a hard battle. The Tournament of Power, which I've mentioned 3 times already in 1 minute because it really is stacked for feats, had Goku absolutely drained of life, gain back stamina by fighting Kale and Caulifla. Gain back stamina and increase his base power in the process, which is just really silly again when you map it out. He also has pretty great regeneration in anything that's post Super Saiyan God, where Beerus actually plunged a hole in him and he was able to regenerate from this. On the other hand, classic Sonic's feat against Chaos Zero in Sonic Forces might actually mean Sonic could cancel this out. As of the Universe 6 tournament arc, Goku can use raw power to shatter time manipulation powers. He did it with Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 10 in his first fight with Hit, but then he did it again with just Super Saiyan Blue, so I have no doubt he could use it in this fight if he needed to. A very strange other ability from this exact fight was, get ready for this, fear manipulation. Yeah, fear manipulation, where Goku, alongside Hit, actually scared Champa so badly it rocked him off his feet, despite the fact he could instantly erase these two at this point in Super. I, of course, can't cover everything here about Goku, but Finally, I will detail some Broly movie abilities that are pretty cool as well. He can paralyze opponents with a technique called Godbind, stopping them from moving, even from distance. He may also possess Gogeta's Meteor attack, which is a really dangerous technique because it fills his opponent's body with ki, which he then detonates from inside, bypassing durability. Though I am not sure if Goku can use this, as fused fighters are, more often than not, treated as different people from just a combo of their fusees. Goku clearly has some impressive abilities, made all the more impressive when he debatably went 2 whole arcs gaining nothing but transformation-related powers. Sonic, though, definitely edges him out for abilities, especially in the video game jank department. For example, Boost and Spin Dash are absolutely his greatest assets, which increase his speed by roughly 8 times, which for battles like this is pretty damn huge. This is made even more deadly because Sonic is a master of movement who also moves near perfectly. Homing attack is also a rapid distance closer that Goku would either have to precisely dodge or block, and it's just another ability he can spam relentlessly. He also has dimensional travel, which I am allowing despite the speed equalization, meaning Goku couldn't instant transmission him away to another dimension to end the battle, if he could even get out of the Tournament of Power stage to begin with, based on my rule set. Quite a lot of Sonic's advantage can actually be traced to one singular game, Sonic Frontiers. So many of the abilities are kinda nuclear in a versus matchup context. Psyloop is obvious, it's an instant guard break and makes the opponent more vulnerable. If he gets enough hits in, he will activate Phantom Rush, making him far more powerful across the board and far faster too. Parry is a form of time manipulation, as well as a reflection ability. However, I should note that Goku could very likely break out of this based on the feats he's performed against Hit, and with the nature of this time manipulation being contained to a specific space or opponent, I genuinely think that this is an applicable resistance for Goku. While Goku is clearly the master of ranged attacks, Sonic is also able to give any ranged games a match with his own energy projection, but, not including stuff like the Kamehameha, which would certainly blow him away. While Sonic has the advantage here, it's really not far off. It's actually quite exciting how many potential counters exist across the board between each side. That's 2 very powerful abilities from both of them, countered by their unique resistances. Nevertheless, Sonic's abilities are just better, and more of them are just cheap, that's the main thing, or allow him large non-committal advantages. Except, unfortunately, it's going to count for very little, because the pendulum swings straight back when we discuss intelligence and fight skill, where Goku gets a huge advantage in this battle. Now, I want to be kind to Sonic, as I rightfully should be, because he is genuinely a prodigal fighter and hugely underrated. A master at basically everything he touches, he learned swordplay so fast he got bored, then surpassed every knight of the Round Table before taking down King Arthur himself. He is skilled in ninjutsu. In just 2 missions, he learnt Kung Fu in Sonic Unleashed. The ancients, super genius intellectuals, stated Sonic had literally limitless potential. Pretty easy to believe given his insane gains. Keep in mind too, Sonic routinely fights and nearly always defeats a 300 plus IQ mad scientist, Dr. Eggman. I am aware of how easy it is to dismiss the Doctor's intelligence, as he's made to look dumb by the blue blur, but that really says more about Sonic and how nuts he is. This guy has drained the Chaos Emeralds dry, created the final Egg Blaster, a multi-stellar weapon, and a super genius AI called Sage, who has immensely advanced capabilities. To apply this to Sonic directly, the Egg Dragoon is one of Eggman's greatest inventions ever, the Ultra Hyper Prototype 1. This machine was assembled from years of studying Sonic's movement patterns, but it all proved to be for naught because this machine got turned to toast twice. Once by Werehog Sonic as well, a form he had only had for a couple of weeks at that point, and he was far less accustomed to than his regular body. This is all indicative of an extraordinary genius combatant, someone who is far beyond any real-life fighter by a magnitude. However, Son Goku is even more outrageous and outlandish by comparison. After his Saiyan programming was wiped by a head injury, Son Goku was taught by Grandpa Gohan, someone who was unrivaled in a host of martial arts disciplines. He was then taught by Master Roshi, someone who had lived well beyond usual human lifespans, effectively becoming a martial arts god. His Kamehameha, the magnum opus of Roshi's accomplishments, was copied in seconds by Son Goku. Not only this, but Goku also copied Master Roshi's drunken fist style, turned it into the crazy fist to better combat him. Basically all of the major humans of Dragon Ball are prodigies themselves, capable of similar feats of growth and learning techniques like the Kamehameha in very quick fashion. Yet Goku has largely exceeded them. The prowess of the combat of even these Dragon Ball characters, ones often cast out to the side by the popular lens, had major advantages against, say, the Saiyans, despite being much less powerful just because of their martial arts skill. Goku has also mastered the Kaioken and the Spirit Bomb. The former has never been learned by others, despite the fact it's literally a key control technique, yet somehow Goku's the only one to learn it, so that seems like a big deal. He is so naturally skilled that it actually inflates his power level. Ginyu, when he took over Goku's body, went from 90,000 to only 23,000, really showing the gulf between even experienced warriors like Ginyu and, of course, Goku himself. As I alluded to, Z then becomes a Get Stonk series, where a lot of the intelligence feats are about how best to increase one's power level, and while they're good, I don't really think they apply to this fight, naturally. However, Goku fighting Perfect Cell so well is unbelievably impressive as the weaker combatant of the two. Even disregarding how Goku develops Super Saiyan Grade 4, Cell has the data and DNA of every fighter on Earth and Namek over a 20-year time span, and has the composite of skills and knowledge to be one of the most dangerous pound-for-pound opponents ever produced in Dragon Ball period. Yet, Goku was capable of keeping up with him, and sometimes got major openings against him. For example, the instant Kamehameha, which literally blew away half his body despite the deficit. In Dragon Ball Super, they remembered that skill is important and does actually exist, and Goku enters episode 5, accidentally revealing how good he is, with his body dodging Beerus before he was about to attack. Beerus admits that it was his intent to finally strike against Goku, and wonders if Goku is some sort of genius for this. Yeah, Beerus, this millions of years old warrior god, and likely the absolute zenith of Hakaishin talent. Goku then becomes a god, fights suppressed Beerus, and analyzes and copies his fighting style, yes, of this millions of years old god, to cancel out his attacks. For a series, I would say that's known for having strength gains give you advantages against other opponents, Goku is not always stronger than his opponent, and still manages to combat them equally or just beat them, and I will decorate this point with examples. Cell, who I mentioned earlier, the super android who spent 20 years learning from the best of the best. Recently, against Broly, Goku fought an Ikari Broly who had just adapted to Super Saiyan God Vegeta as just a Super Saiyan. The light novel canon to the film states that Broly had never faced an opponent like Goku before, and they were just effectively adapting to each other. In a feat I find to be often ignored yet absolutely incredible, Goku in the Tournament of Power emerges being horribly drained by his first glimpse of Ultra Instinct. He's so weak that it's implied that when he and Caulifla begin their battle, their base forms are relative. Caulifla then turns into a Super Saiyan 2 and yet just seems to get bodied by Goku, and she has to adapt her fighting style herself to get her proper advantage. Champa, Beerus' brother and a warrior god also millions of years old, is stunned that Caulifla cannot overcome Goku, and Vados in turn states that Goku's martial arts are pretty much negating Caulifla's unrefined brawler style. If we say that Goku and Caulifla were relative in base, which is heavily implied, this means Goku is overcoming at least 100 times difference in power, speed, and durability with his raw skill alone. When people refer to ki control and good ki control, this is what they mean. And Goku is just, he's absurd. Like, I struggle to think of more than a few characters who are so skilled that they overcome such massive deficits with skill alone. Okay, let's wrap up with Peak. We need to talk about Hit. I will be more elaborate on this whole sequence in my Goku video, but Hit's time skip was an undefeated technique that allowed him to completely destroy Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta and, well, numerous other opponents over 1,000 years of living. Goku, in base form, then begins blocking and countering a guy who is skipping into the literal future. He then tells Hit he is predicting him just to make him switch up his tactics, only for Son Goku to do it again. He actually even manages to cut his face open with a backhand strike. Yeah, Goku's adaptability and raw skill are his strongest assets in a fight. Oh, you thought we were finished? Oh no, I've not even discussed Ultra Instinct. I guess we better discuss Goku's ace in the hole, because Ultra Instinct is pretty serious business in a fight like this. It's not just a power-up with instinctive reaction, it is pure fight skill personified. A great instance of this is the first appearance of Ultra Instinct Sign, where Goku's limits are forced open by the Universe 7 Spirit Bomb, which Jiren blinked away straight back to Goku. Despite overcoming and effectively absorbing this level of power, he is actually capable of fighting Jiren, who, you know, blinked it away earlier. This really shows the terrifying efficiency with which Goku uses his energy in Ultra Instinct. By the end of this encounter, Jiren finally shows his aura, having never needed to do so prior in the tournament. That's not even mentioning that every single God of Destruction is trained by angels, natural masters of Ultra Instinct, all millions of years old, and they have never perfected this technique. Yet, in literally a few minutes in this rematch with Jiren, he's already mastered it. That's just the level when it comes to Goku. All of the feats I have just mentioned, all of them, are basically sent to another level when Goku is in Ultra Instinct. Goku would just hit far harder than Sonic would, despite the stats being equalised. He would be extremely hard to hit, even for a blue hedgehog who can go 8 times faster at will with boost and use homing attacks. Okay, yes, it would not be him hitting over 100 times harder, but still, it's really rare to see somebody who has such a level of skill that they just fight way above their class casually. And that's kind of the point of Ultra Instinct. As I said earlier, Goku is pretty literally in a different tier to most fighters. It gets worse the more I discuss it as well. I haven't even touched on the other abilities of UI, including Instinctive Reaction, obviously, which features godlike near flawless evasion. Goku's already insane mid-battle growth is pushed to even higher heights, which allowed him to completely erase the deficit from, then overcome, super full power Jiren, which itself is a unique Instinct-esque form that kinda gets ignored despite how wild it is. Not only this, Goku's rage power is still usable even in MUI. MUI is not driven by calmness as implied in the manga, but more like the pure fighting will and spirit of the user. Considering MUI Goku vs Jiren happened in 2 minutes, yeah, this is not looking good for Sonic. You take the terrifying adaptability, fight intelligence, then you slap this on top of it. Despite this overwhelming advantage I've just detailed, it is not a guaranteed victory nor stomp for the Saiyan beyond the gods. MUI has a critical weakness, and that is its horrible stamina. The 2 minutes I mentioned earlier is all Goku has to work with. Now, I am very confident he can end the fight with his tremendous advantage in well under 2 minutes, but it prevents it from being truly conclusive in this regard. If Goku can't, MUI will turn off and his body will be ripped apart, giving the Blue Blur an instant victory Goku would never ever be able to recover. I'd like to remind anyone who watched my Sonic video, or inform those who are new here, that Sonic has extreme superhuman stamina. This guy routinely operates at full power for days on end in situations where his body is getting torn apart by some ailment like the Arrow of Judgment or cyber corruption, for example. So he's always going to win the stamina war. Additionally, in Sonic's defense, remember he is an extraordinary genius fighter himself. It's enough that I would be confident in saying that he could figure out the weakness of UI, and if he manages to do that, he can play pretty effective stall with his speed increasing techniques, even accounting for Goku's range prowess. But that's all he has left. I really want to fully elaborate in my Goku video. You don't mess with this monkey. Kakarot is just a freak of nature in combat, and you have everyone screaming plot armor when, in reality, Goku is just that good at fighting more often than not. He has just enough abilities, even if Sonic's are better. He has absurd super genius fighting intellect, nonsensical analytical abilities, and Ultra Instinct. Therefore, I have to give this one to Son Goku in a roughly 75% to 25% split. The 25% for Sonic would account for Goku's horrific stamina in Ultra Instinct. Well, that was a little bit off schedule, but I hope you all enjoyed this video. Versus matchups are always up for debate, such is the nature of interpreting fiction. Who do you think would win this equal stats fight? Maybe you have a different argument to mine. And yes, we did go over the true battle as well briefly, in which Goku is virtually indestructible to Sonic, but Sonic is so fast he'll just take Goku somewhere he could never return from, even with instant transmission. Of course, next up will be a full-length video on Goku. Yes, it's pretty damn involved, and there's a lot of different tierings over the full series I want to cover. But with that, thank you for watching, and until next time.